Welcome back. I have sleeping kitten on me, which probably won't last very long. It's so interesting to watch him as he occasionally will jump in my lap after hysterical rampages through the house, and then he'll lay there and he'll purr very loud, and then he'll take this one big deep breath and he'll exhale, and then the purring will, even that will cease, and he'll just drop into this deep rock-like sleep where he'll start to twitch. But that's that one big breath that he takes. Ah. Anyway, I've got 4 minutes now to deliver the entire truth of the universe, and I'm going to do it. Anyway, yesterday we sort of talked about this analogy where humans are very small and the universe is very big, and all we have are these puny little pathetic senses. And for the longest time, they delivered back to us very little information. And then modern peeps came along and they developed science and they microscopes, telescopes, measuring devices, and we extended our senses to the very, very, very big and the very, 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 very small. In fact, so big we can't even see to the far ends, and so small there's a dimension that we cannot see. So all the tools have, as powerful as they are, they still come with a limitation. But I also yesterday talked about how we've learned in the last 100 years that anything we look at, we shape via something called the observer effect. This is undeniable, and even though some physicists still want to argue it, the vast majority of conventional wisdom affirms the observer effect, meaning the way that we look at something actually shapes the outcome of the experiment. Why am I harping on this? Because as human beings, more importantly, as an individual being, we make this transition from being very small with very limited senses that seem to perceive an outside world and record that information that stimulates our internal experience. That's the start of an ascension, of a progression, of a scale. And after a while, as we learn to recognize we have senses and we learn to tame and temper and redirect them, we learn to remove them from obsession, addiction, compulsion. In other words, we rein in our senses, then they become redeemed and healed, and then they become these feelers that move out into the world. Perhaps a better way would be to say it is that they're the lenses through which we look at the world. So earlier in the week, dear Marcia pointed out the quite accurate fact that five senses is sort of, it's very basic. We have a host of senses. Now I'm going to say, think of your senses like one of those musical mixing boards. Have you ever seen a music production studio? There are music boards with literally, I don't know, probably hundreds of sliders that can move forward or back, that will either pull in or they will restrict the amount of input or output. And five parts of the board might be divided into the basics, those five senses that we're used to, but there are dozens, hundreds, thousands of senses that we all have, that we're all individually moving ourselves. So let's take those myriad of senses and let's resolve them down to what today we'll call our sense of life. All those senses now distill down into our sense of existence, this overall amalgam of what I see and what you see and what 8 billion people on the planet see, because everybody's seeing something different, are they not? There's no doubt about that. There seems to be enough of a common outside world that gives us the agreement to live together, and yet everybody's seeing something different. Everybody has their mixing board of their senses tuned differently. What does this mean? What's the vast, radical, unbelievable, astonishing, breathtaking import of all of this? Well, once you've redeemed your senses, you've gained control over them in the way that we were designed. You find dominion over your senses. Your senses then see the world as you choose to see it. In other words, if you look for beauty, you'll find it. If you look for grace, you'll find it. If you look for balance, you'll find it. If you feel for love, you'll find it. If you listen for wisdom, you'll find it. But if your senses are shaped to see anger or fear or worry, if your feelings are shaped to find offense or disgust or disappointment, if your touch is designed to feel hurt or pain or disease, you will find it. In other words, there's no objective world to be found. There's the subjective world that you find. And if you look for beauty, you'll find it. If you look for joy, you'll find it. But does that mean that pain and disgust and worry and fear go away in this universe? No, they're just operating on a different frequency. People who are tuned into that will continuously find it. We can't make that go away. That's not our job. Our job is to tune in to what's available when you redeem and heal your senses. So this very day, look for beauty, feel for love, sense for confidence, touch for calm, and build that capacity in. All right, you might want to listen to it again. I'll see you tomorrow.